What's up, everybody? So today we're going to try something a little different, something I've actually never attempted before. But we're going to try and fix this carbon fiber intake right here. It's got some damages right here and right here. You see the seam split in a couple of places. But we got this, we got a carbon fiber repair kit, and it came with some, not really some very good looking resin. So I went ahead and bought some nice clear stuff. Then we got our paint brushes, some mixing containers, a bunch of sandpaper, some masking tape, heat gun, and some gloves. So hopefully that's gonna be all we need. Oh, and some wax and grease remover. But first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this cheap resin here, and I'm actually going to go inside and I'm gonna seal that seam back up. I can't really figure out a good way to film that, but it's just 2-part epoxy, so mix it together and I'm just going to paintbrush it in there. Try and make sure that seam is nice and smooth. And then on the outside, I'm going to use the Bondo stuff right here, glazing putty, and fill in this gap, make that smooth on both of these right here. And we're actually not going to keep this bare carbon fiber, because if you look closely, right in here, the actual like weave or whatever is broken. So we're gonna have to do some patches right here. This one might be savable, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and put a patch on it also. But we're gonna make some patches for it and then get it all nice and smoothed out, and I think we're just gonna paint it black or something. I don't know. I'll probably go and remake this sticker also if I can figure out how to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the resin on the inside, and then whenever that gets all dry and everything, we can start working on the outside. I'll pick the camera back up and then we'll see what we can figure out with this thing. Just gonna be figuring it out as we go, so it might turn out okay, it might turn out horrible. We'll see. Alright, so everywhere on the inside that there is any bits of like carbon fiber or anything sticking up, got some resin on it. Right in there. And this whole seam right here, and then that crack right there also. Got some to hold it all together. But we'll just let this dry for a while, and then we'll come back and do the glazing putty to fill in those gaps on the top side, and then we'll finally be ready to lay some carbon fiber on here. Well, kinda. We gotta sand it, prep it, do all that stuff, but glazing putty and then carbon fiber work. Alright, so this is dried enough. It's nowhere near like fully set, but we can go ahead and turn it and work with it. We did have some seep through the crack right there, so it's a good thing that we went ahead and sealed that thing up first. But I was gonna fill it in with the glazing putty here, but now that I think about it, I guess really we could just fill the gaps in with resin and lay carbon fiber over it, and that should fill it in alright. So I guess really the first thing we need to do is we need to sand this down. That's actually sanding down really fast. We're going to switch over to a time lapse, get this knocked out, and then we'll get to actually laying some carbon fiber down. Alright, I'll sand it down. I don't really know how far you're supposed to get with it. Went ahead and took the wax and grease remover, cleaned it all off and everything. So I think we're ready to mix up some epoxy, put some of that down, then cut out our carbon fiber and lay it. I do have my piece of carbon fiber cut out right there. A little bit of heat to get the bubbles out. Alright, so I think what we're going to do, we're going to put some of this on, then lay the carbon on top of it. Put another layer over top of it, I think. I hope. I'd say this would definitely be a lot easier on a something that was flat. I'll make sure I get all the edges. I don't really know what it's supposed to look like at this point, but I don't think this is it. You can kind of still see like the edges here. I don't know if these edges will get sanded down with the sandpaper or what. I don't know, we'll see. But let's go ahead and do this other crack. So here I'm just trying to brush the edges down, trying to minimize how much I have to sand. This is definitely not looking like what I wanted though. Well, I guess from here we'll just let this thing dry and see how it turns out, I guess. Forgot about these cracks over here. Luckily the fiber's not broken on them though, so they don't need any material, they just need some resin. Those two marks right there actually look like they might turn out alright. I think at this point the more I mess with it, just the worse it's going to be. I just need to let it sit and do its thing, and we'll fix whatever we can with sandpaper and paint. So it's been about an hour now trying to let this dry a little bit, but I'm quickly learning that I shouldn't have done this when it's only 50 degrees outside for the high and the shop's not heated. When I came back out here to check on it, this strip right here and both of these had actually slid down around to the bottom, so I kind of just pushed it back up, but you can see it messed it up pretty bad. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sand all that out or not, but it's looking like it's going to take the rest of the day, tonight, and maybe even into tomorrow for this to dry. So it might end up being a failed video this week. I don't know, this is not looking promising. But I guess we'll just let this sit and whatever happens, happens. And then tomorrow we'll come back down here and check on it, see what happened, and then go from there. Alright, next day. Let's see how bad this is. Oh, it's dry. But it looks horrible. Oh my goodness. All that epoxy run off of it. That was the biggest thing, is I couldn't figure out how to get the epoxy to stay up here. Gravity was really messing with me. Well, I guess all we can do now is sand it down and see what happens. I'm calling this right now a failed experiment. Look at that, how does that even happen? That's just straight epoxy looking all wrinkled. I don't know. This is horrible. But real quick before we start sanding, if you want to do this yourself, I would say don't do it in the winter, or do it in an area that's heated if you are going to do it in the winter. Probably leave the tape on the edges, because that's what all this is. It come like all taped together, and I cut that off because I thought the tape would look funny, but it just turned out looking funny anyways. So keep your edges taped, do it in a heated shop or not in the winter time, and try to not do round things, I guess, because it doesn't really stay on the top. All the epoxy and everything just runs to the bottom. Oh well, let's get to sanding. Well, this is definitely a failure. So after just a little bit of sanding, get off that first top layer, and it's still like sticky and gooey underneath, so it's nowhere near dry. And it's been about, I don't know, 24 or maybe 30 hours since the last time y'all saw it. But it did snow overnight, and it's like 30 degrees in here, so I guess that probably has a lot to do with it. But you can see all these ridges on the edge of the carbon fiber, and then up here on the top, it's already sanded through the resin and into the actual carbon. Just complete junk. There's nothing I can do about this. And then on the bottom where it all where gravity brought all the resin to. There's all kinds of ridges and valleys, and then that big line across here where it was all collecting. Just, it's absolutely horrible. 100% failure. I mean, I guess it was worth a shot, but I don't really know what to do from here. Sorry this week was a failed video. If you were thinking about doing this, maybe you could at least learn what not to do. But thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next week for another one. New video every Wednesday.